Peace, peace. What's good, family? This is your boy Solar Mind of Solar Vision Debate League. I am here with brother Goldmind and brother MikhaEL. So when you come in the building, hit the like button. Hit the like button when you come in the building. We get started a little late. You know what I'm saying? It's all good though. We're gonna try to get this thing going soon as possible. Brother MikhaEL is in the building along with Goldmind, and they're about to get it in. The topic for tonight's debate is African spirituality or the Bible, which is better for our society. So, should be a very interesting debate. As you can see, we got the full house is packed with judges. You know what I'm saying? So, Solar Mind, I'm just going to fall back today. I'm doing interrogation, but I'm not judging. So, we got the 3 judges in the building. We got Through the Knowledge Radio. We got DJ Black Charm. And we got my man, Table of Kings in the building.
Yo. Shout out everybody in the building, man. Hit the like button when y'all hit step on the door.
All right. So,
hit that damn like button.
So, yeah, Do the Knowledge Radio. You know what I'm saying? Do the Knowledge Radio. Do the Knowledge Radio is in the building. You know what I'm saying? We getting this thing rocking, you know what I mean? And in fact, me and Do the Knowledge Radio want to set up a show where we do a review, you know what I'm saying? We're going to do like a review, a debate league review. And I really want to do that right before we start the playoffs, just to give like an overview of all the debaters. And yeah, so yeah, be on the lookout for that. That's going to be sometime maybe the beginning of next week. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that. But yeah, man, it's going down. As y'all can see, what we doing with the standings thus far, you know, the debate league standings is as such. As you can see, you got brother MikhaEL. He's sitting there at 4-1, 5-1. I put him up there. That'll boost him right up there over brother Abdul, over brother all the people that ain't 5-1. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very important debate for him, to say the least. And we got Goldmind trying to make that final playoff push. He's sitting there at 1-3, so he got a lot of work to do. With that being said, what's going on? Goldmind, peace, family. Goldmind, are you there, brother? Unmute your mic.
Yes, I'm here, family. Can you hear me?
Yeah, brother.
Peace.
All right. MikhaEL, what's good with your brother?
Hey, shalom, brother. It's all of mine, man. It's all good. Let's give all honor and praise to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the name of His Son Jesus Christ, and just coming here to represent, to show what's better for our society, what's written in His Bible, or something foreign.
All right. So with that being said, we're gonna get right to this. Brother Goldmind is set to go first. We're going with a standard format tonight, and as you can see, it's 3-judge format as well. Each judge is worth 10 points apiece, and 1 PowerPoint. So, Goldmind is set to go first. Let me set this timer for 5 minutes. Whenever you're ready, brother, you could begin your opening.
All right, family. I want to start off by saying that it's common knowledge that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam were derived from African spirituality, as they come from a place called the African continent, comprised of 54 African countries. Why does the Bible not afford all its readers and believers? Why does the Bible not afford all its readers and believers the same riches or benefits of God's blessings. But these are African tales of Africans compiled to make the Bible, and also used to invade the world under the Bible's guise in the Crusades during the slave trade, now walking us into our current conditions. As society has been had the Bible, it's time to change back to what was stripped from us, watered down, top shelf, back to us unknowingly we bit, hook, line, and sinker, as we were saying yes to a part of ourselves we couldn't deny, but all the while taking on a perception and interpretation of ourselves that would only render us dependent on those that seek to misuse and abuse us unabated, which has led many of us to mimic the ways of our oppressors. If we want to be the successors, I think many of us have decided if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. This book was given to us after examples were made, not proof or evidence, but proof of the lengths one would go to force or convert us to these practices. We still participate in today with the evidence of the papal bull and the many inquisitions. Um, a lot of us have accepted this Bible and accepted the doctrines of it. In case there is a heaven or hell, leaving us with a savior complex. I am a pantheist of African spirituality. I don't have an urge or think it's necessary to personify, make laws of nature's occurrences and systems in our universe into human-like beings, giving eyes, ears, mouth, nose to save me from mundane circumstances we face as human beings, provide healing and such things as needed. Now, Nat Turner and Martin Luther King didn't rise because of the Bible, but I declare they rose because of the African spirit that rose up to be kings in the ancient times, and it once rose again within them. How else does one know the truth unless they get all points of view or reference? As the Comedics conceptualize, all is within all things, as above, so below. According to Hermes Parrot M. Haru 109, two sycamore trees covered by shoe is the depiction. Pyramid text 1846 speak about sycamore trees' relationship with Nu, with them taken from the primordial abyss, explains a nitrogen cycle. When matter dissipates, it becomes energy, and energy becomes matter. Then it transmutes into isotopes. You see, there was no God complexities, just an informative scientific breakdown. Your personal relationship with God is just that, your personal relationship. But you can't expect any thinking person to go along with the cognitive dissonance that one must practice to believe outside of reality. And you cannot prove none of these people exist, even with all the books in the Bible. Once you start attributing everything to God is interceding in all these events and increasing people, destroying people, everything in the Bible starts and ends within those pages. It's your choice if you're going to take on the curses of it for the things you should do for yourself anyway. So you need no one to save you, but you essentially become self-saved. Why should we buy into your spookism that was never necessary why should we buy into your spookism that was necessary to keep you in it? The underline that the Bible pushes is of a revolutionary who is a martyr so that others will not do the same unless they want the same. So we mimic or we mock and want to be as Christ or Yahshua. But if I asked you who want to bear their cross today, I would be asking who wants to commit suicide. Every time you say, I believe in the Bible, you give credit to the murderers of Jesus. You give credit to the murderers of Jesus. These were the killers of Yahshua, Joshua, Moses. The Romans, the Pharisees, look like the current day Vatican, who made the Bible available to those outside of the clergy, as well control what's in it or out of the Bible. A Asar represents the resurrection, according to African spirituality. It is written in stone. That's more than an old saying. Makes so much sense today, since they want to hide our greatness and the fact that we're a blessing to this planet, or you want to be the blessing Trump spoke of to America. How quickly we forget the papal bull. commissioned to murder an estimated of 80 million black people, not to mention the millions killed upon the arrival of the Europeans to America. I'm going to show how our history reps the height of black African spirituality.
All right. Shout out to Goldmind for that opening. We're gonna hand this thing over now to Brother MikhaEL. Brother MikhaEL, I'm gonna set this timer for 5 minutes. Whenever you're ready, you can begin, brother.
Yeah, begin, because it ain't gonna take too long. Like I said earlier, I give all honor and praise to the Most High God of Israel. And I just like to start off with the laydowns, letting you know that tonight I am going to prove, that not only are these principles, laws, statutes, and commandments written in our holy manuscript superior to anything secular that or some that he may call African spirituality, but I can show you that it's the only thing that's good as far as on a consistent basis, which is written down that we can really touch, that's tangible and be used today. Now, what's funny is, in my brother's opening already, he said two contradictory things. He started by saying, we know that these religions, these Abrahamic faiths, derive from Africa. Then near the end of it, he turned around and said that we don't need the spookism from these Bibles because we have African spirituality. So he already starting out inconsistently. Which one is it? And I think part of that is because, as y'all can hear, the brother is reading a script. I don't even think these from his mind, because right before we just went live, the brother Swab sent him a PowerPoint and Solomon checked him. I got to put it out there because this really irritated me. And I'm listening to the brother reading somebody else's words, not even his own debate. So by default, you done lost already. But I'm going to go ahead and play it out just so I can educate the people, because I don't like slick stuff. So I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 4. Proverbs chapter 4. And I'm going to read this. I'm going to keep it real short. I'm going to say verse 21. It say, let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of thine heart. It's the laws and commandments of the mother. But they are life unto those that find them and health to all their flesh. And today I will prove that this is not only figuratively, but it's also symbolic. These things that the Most High got set up in this book are even healthier for you. Whether it's dealing with STDs, whether it's dealing with all the morality, dealing with man, woman, child, how to bring up your house, agriculture, economics, all these things are set up in our holy Bible. And I'm gonna also go to another spot, just confirming. This is Psalms chapter 67 and verse 2. And it reads, verse 1, it says, God be merciful unto us and bless us and cause his face to shine upon us, Salah, that thy may be known upon earth, thy saving health among all nations. So not even just us. If anybody follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, if they could do it, they would actually be even healthier individuals. And that is not just spiritual, that is also physical. I don't need to go too long in this little opening. I'm ready for him to start because, like I say, that was a slick move. That was a very slick move that you got somebody helping you in a debate. That was real foul, and I'm glad the Most High allowed it to be shown. But you know what? I'm a soldier of the Most High. I'm used to having odds against me. I'm just going to let the Lord tear this whole thing down. Shalom.
All right. That's why I be telling y'all, don't be doing your own little thing. You can just contact me, and I'll be able to do, because that's why I do it that way for what just happened. So with that being said, brother Goldmind, I'm gonna set the timer for 10 minutes, and brother, I do have the PowerPoint, so you want me to
Solid.
Yeah.
This is gonna be something used to. I don't want to win under the guise of my brother thinking that I got one up on him. I can see. because
You
that
said what?
ain't gonna do it. I said I don't want to win under or participate under the guys that my brother think I got one up on him, because that's the guys that's gonna go throughout the debate. That's the case, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather not do it.
You saying well? So what you
Because
saying? You concede?
nothing in the rules that we can't study together. There's nothing in the rules to say that. But again, me being the fair man that I am, I don't want to face my brother with him thinking that.
Bro, I mean, it is what it is. I don't feel nothing personal about you, but you got caught.
I mean, you gonna
I
bring it up
I
the whole
came
debate?
in. I'm saying though, brother, I came in right before the debate started, before we went live, and my man's was handing you information. Basically, he sent in a PowerPoint that he didn't prepare for you. We hear it when you reading that you didn't write it. So,
Okay,
brother,
I'm
I'm
not
not
allowed
debating. I'm
to do
debating. I'm
my
saying what
own
I'm
writing.
saying, bro. I'm debating Suave. I'm not debating you. I'm debating somebody else. And since y'all want to do it like that, maybe we should have a handicap debate both of y'all.
You feel handicapped or no? Because I mean, if you feel like
That's basically what y'all doing right now. Y'all try to set up a handicap match. You feel you could not face me one on one. And now, if that brother felt that way, he should have debated me. We got to keep it real in here. We got to keep, man. This can't be like the boxing industry with the corrupt judges and all that type. We can't have that going on. Solar Vision got a nice debate league and it's growing, and I'm not gonna be a part of no shimmy shams. If cats know they ain't got the mental fortitude to stand next to their opponent and they need help, then they don't need to be here. To be honest, you lost by default, if you ask me.
So I mean, we could keep it going. You know what I'm saying? But like I tell people, follow the rules. I mean, because the whole thing is gonna look shady. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, yo, how did Suave get the link? I didn't send him no link. So yeah, brother, just follow. Everybody follow the rules, and everything could be cool. Because yeah, if I was a debater coming in there, he came in, I would have been thinking the same thing. What the fuck is going on? That's why I'm like, yo, what you doing in here? So yeah, man. I mean, we could continue the debate though. I mean, with that being said, uh, but
you're
yeah,
gonna lose if you said I cheated.
you said what?
I'm not saying I lose whether I win right now or not.
You said now say that again.
If the consensus right now is y'all think I'm using Suave Slide,
No, I
technically
don't
I'm
think
gonna
I don't
lose
think that.
anyway.
I don't think that. What I was saying was, why is he in here?
This whole
How did
conversation,
he get the link? Because he's not supposed to be in here. I didn't know what
I
he was
said
in there for.
I sent it to him and was gonna say slide, next slide, next slide.
All I
Not
was
reading
saying was
where I got it.
how did he get the link, and why this is not coming across me before y'all went and did it. And it ain't just me trying to be the superior judge for reasons as what you see now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no. It's like I
So
told MikhaEL, I don't wanna win under these guys. Like if bro really feel like that, I don't wanna do this.
I mean, people gonna feel how they
He can
feel. I mean, that's life. I mean, you just
do
got
it
to do
another
what you got to
time.
do, bro.
But
So what's it gonna be? You trying to rock out or what?
slides up no. Did you get him yet?
I got him. I got him. I'm ready to roll. We just waiting on you, bro.
Uh,
Huh?
all right, let's go. I'm trying to pull up your
All right,
thing.
I'm gonna pull it up. It's gonna be a little slight delay because and that's why I tell you should call me because I would have told you that. It's gonna be a slight delay because from the live stream to when you get it, it's gonna be a little delay. So when I'm going to the next slide, it's gonna be a little delay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but all right, let me set this timer for 10 minutes and share screen. All right, brother. Whenever you're ready.
All right. My basis for my standpoint in this debate is the fact that a lot of the names within the books to hide the roots of the noticed my opponent mentioned the fact that it seems as though I'm reading phone and stop reading my phone, but or take away from the fact that a lot of the context that a lot of people speak of when we're talking about the Bible, the context of the Bible, the setting of the Bible is within the African continent. So when you're dealing with a continent, there's a such thing as a land bridge that doesn't separate or a piece of land from the mainland. So a lot of our brothers like to, say that Israel or Sumeria is not a part of Africa, but I beg to differ. As you can see, as you look at a lot of Egyptian artifacts, a lot of these Egyptian artifacts are essentially the embodiment of what the scriptures are read as or what the literature was formed from. You can see many depictions where you see the Ankh with arms coming from him, and you see these same pictures of a pale Jesus within a lot of the King James Bibles. I know my brother MikhaEL doesn't subscribe to that, but tonight we're dealing with the Bible specific in all its forms. The first thing you have to ask yourself, which Bible are we talking about? There's at least 10 plus Bibles that you could think of offhand that people do subscribe to. Would like to think that that's outside of the spectrum. Solar, are you showing them right now?
Next slide.
Hold on, I can't see it. Like you say on my because the slides gonna speak for themselves. Yeah, as I was stating with the Ankh. Next slide about this Ankh. We basically gonna go through some of the proof that the Bible is missing, the evidence of the stories. So these things can be found within the walls of a lot of these things are associated with Egypt. But once again, Egypt is within Africa, which has a spirituality system consisting of 100 million spiritual systems. Brief overview of that had a hand in the Bible. You can go on to the next slide because King James don't come to 1611. That's the Bible that a lot of us know about. Next slide. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I told you it's gonna be a delay, bro.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you heard me. That's all.
What do you see, bro? Are you there?
In the brief history, oh, here we go. All right, I got you. BC 2000. Originally, the earliest scriptures are handed down from generations to generations orally. So the creation for the scriptures, the oral story, 2015 book of Job is written. Once you can see up on this map, circle is within Africa. Here we go, point circle. BC 1500 through 1400. The stone tablets of the Ten Commandments are at Mount Sinai, and later stored in the Ark of the Covenant. Next slide. Ultimately, it's stated that we are all Africans. The study of mitochondria or DNA having proven that all humans are a small population, less than 100 individuals that emerged from Africa about 60,000 years ago. The earliest written religious texts, as well as the first documented monotheist religions, also developed in Africa. During the European Dark Ages, many ancient manuscripts were preserved in African libraries in places such as Ethiopia and Timbuktu. Next slide. This just some of the proof of what the Bible speaks of. So when you say you just want the Bible, recognize that starts and ends within those pages. So you want the Bible, but you don't want the proof of the thing. You don't want the greatness that comes along with this Bible that people are parading all around the world and making money as well as progressing their people off the backs of your people that you refuse to identify with. But don't worry, it's not your fault. Egypt lasted longer than the entire span of what we have come to accept as recorded history. Over 3,000 years during the millennium, the Egyptians developed a multitude of gods and goddesses. Once again, don't get that twisted. We're speaking about elements, cycles, natural occurrences within the universe, as well as esoteric practices that we still are unraveling the meaning of. Egypt was the source of the first true monotheist religion. Under the pharaoh Akhenaten, the rich tradition was mostly unknown until the early 19th century when the Egyptian language was finally deciphered. And by the way, notice here, next slide, I am reading as well. My brother was reading from the Bible. And he's going to do a lot of reading from the Bible tonight because that's where the Bible starts and ends. No artifacts to back it up. Everyone has our culture, once again, giving way to what we see with the Bible, the Quran, as well as the Kabbalah. So with that being said, we're talking about Christianity, Judaism, as well as Islam. Next slide. Now, as much as people want to say this ain't best for society, in this society we operate with currents. Now, it's mighty funny that on the front of this money, or on the back of this money, I should say, it say in God we trust. All the while using the symbol or the symbols that represents Africa. We all know that the surnames that was given to the surname God that's used in the Bible was given to the kings at the time. The sign of Amun-Ra, which is an early ancient god, and the African pyramid remains still to this day. Next slide. So when all the books is gone, when they burn it all up trying to stay warm, what's written in stone gonna still be here. Medic/ancient Egyptian culture, which once again, a lot of people want to run away from the fact that Egypt, Kemet, they would compile the information from West Africa, North Africa, South Africa, East Africa. Everybody would come there and share their game, put it all together, make universities for their kids to know for years to come. Once again, you see these symbols. I know a lot of y'all probably thought that eagle y'all was gonna slide by. I think that was an American symbol, but once again, you see that's an African spirituality symbol, representation of our connection with Ra. All right, let's go. Next slide. Next up, you're gonna see information that we connect to so dearly within the pages comes from. You know, I spoke earlier, felt like we were saying yes to a part of ourselves that we couldn't deny. I felt like a picture says 1,000 words. Next slide. All right, here's a picture that can be seen in Roman catacombs. Dates about 1st or 2nd centuries. classic depiction of Jesus as a good shepherd. But
All right. That's the brothers round. We're gonna move forward to brother MikhaEL. Brother MikhaEL. I'm gonna set this timer for 10 minutes. Whenever you're ready, brother, you can begin.
All right. Like I say, I like to come back and say grace and peace to everybody, to all the viewers. If I came off, I sounded kind of like I had the fury of the Lord on me. I'm cool now. I'm actually honored. I'm actually honored and humbled that they think that much of me, that it takes two of them, they feel, to debate me. So that's actually cool. So with that all being said, you know, I just listened to the brothers, his lay down, and as he's saying is that everything derived from Africa, but we're going to show which one is superior. Remember the topic of the debate. Is the law, statutes, and commandments in the Bible better for our society, or is African spirituality better for our society? So the first question one would ask is if African spirituality is so much superior than what you would call the Abrahamic statue that he admits comes from Africa, which is like a contradiction in itself. I don't have a problem with Africa, with Israel being on the planet of Africa. Then you got to ask yourself, why isn't it all over the world? Why isn't it all over the world? Like he said, the Abrahamic faiths are all over the world. And I'm going to show you some of these customs that come from that so-called African spirituality. And we're going to see if they would be conducive to our people, as opposed to what the scriptures say concerning these same matters. So if you ever want to know what's good for society, you should start with the woman, the female. Because of course, like I believe it was Elijah Muhammad said, you know, the foundation of the community starts with the female. So we want to go to something over here. This is from an article in World Health Organization. So we want to check something out. And this is under female genital mutilation. And these are key facts. Female genital mutilation, FGM, includes procedures that intentionally alter or cause injury to the female genital organs for non-medical reasons. The procedure has no health benefits for girls and women. Procedures can use severe bleeding and problems urinating, and later cysts and cysts infections, as well as complications in childbirth and increased risk of newborn deaths. More than 200 million girls and women alive today have been cut in 30 countries in Africa. So this ain't just like some little insulated incidents. Why they crying about us getting some little foreskin cut off, they going in there and cutting out the whole, you know, trying to dig out wounds. So let's keep on going. It says the Middle East and Asia, where FGM was concentrated, but it's 30 countries in Africa, which is by far the most. FGM is mostly carried out on young girls between infancy and age 15. FGM is a violation of the human rights of girls and women. Female genital mutilation, FGM, comprises all procedures that involve partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other injury to the female genital organs for non-medical reasons. The practice is mostly carried out by traditional circumcisers who often play other central roles in communities, such as attending childbirths in many settings, healthcare providers before FGM, due to the erroneous belief that the procedure is safer when medicalized, who strongly urges health professionals not to perform such procedures. Now, we wouldn't have a problem with that, but a simple fact, we can go to our book and see what would prevent that. So if somebody come to you with some African spiritual customs and they talk about they want to cut your daughter's privy part out, you know, probably just, you know, because, you know, for virginity reasons or whatever, we'll just go here. Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus 19 and 28. And this is what it reads. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you, for I am the Lord. And it also tells us, do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness. Now, that second part, I'm going to connect it to another thing later. Now, we know for the most part, this dealing with tattoos and things of that nature. But the fact that you shouldn't be doing no unnecessary cutting would definitely prevent you from going down there cutting on a female's love spot. You see what I'm saying? So we gonna continue. I'm gonna go to another thing. I got another article I want to pull up. Let's see, 1 second. Okay, here we go. Here go another one. This is from another article written by Frederick Ngugi, and it's spelled Ngugi. This is, and he's African. 3 strange sex rituals practiced in Africa. And if you go to this website, it breaks it down to you clear. This is under the ritual called during a wife stealing ceremony. It's called wife stealing in the Sahel region. This is in the Nigeria Daily. It says wife stealing is an annual ritual practice by the Wudabi tribe, a subgroup of the Fulani ethnic group found in the Sahel region. Women from this group of nomads are allowed to have as many husbands as they wish. Wowzers. During the wife stealing ceremony, which can go on for days, women are required to pick their preferred mates from a group of men who put on a spectacular mating dance with the hopes of being picked. A woman can pick as many mates as she pleases and have sex with them before she settles on one. Now, remember what I read. I read Leviticus 19:29. Don't prostitute thy daughters, and we will not have whores in Israel. This is one of the epidemic problems we got today in our society. STDs in the black community is at an all-time high. You got a bunch of basically fatherless homes around. You know, one woman got 9 baby daddies and all this type of stuff. But if you was to take this African practice, it would be 1,000 times worse. So let me continue reading. This festival is considered to be the world's most outstanding beauty pageant for men. Apart from being a hotly contested beauty parade, the wife stealing festival is different from other pageants because it's the women who get to pick their favorite mates. It says the weirdest thing about this practice is that it doesn't matter how long the woman has been married. Once she has picked a man, the tribe accepts new union and regards in a genuine marriages. This is crazy. And it further goes on to say, if you keep on reading it, that at certain times fights break out and it leads to even death. Because, you know, you got to think about it, man. I just been my wife for 15 years. You know, this dude and dressed his face up all painty, and, you know, she decided to dip off on him. Like, this is nuts. But if you go to our book, you know what will prevent that? Let's see what will prevent that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. It's not even close. Exodus chapter 20. Exodus 20, and we will pick it up at verse 14. Exodus 20 and 14. And it reads, thou shalt not commit adultery. That's all the way around adultery right there. That prevents people getting killed. That prevents jealousy. That prevents everything. So that whole tradition that is African spirituality, that whole tradition could not even exist in our community according to our manuscript. Also, we can skip over to verse 17 in this same book of Exodus, the 20th chapter. It says, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is in thy neighbor's. Now, coveting. We all know coveting. Coveting is where the spirit of envy come from. You covet something, you don't even have to physically have possession of them. You desire them, or you want what somebody else's. Wanting somebody else's wife. Okay, so this was totally, and this is something that even in the New Testament, that Jesus took it even further based off these same principles. It said you shouldn't even be thinking that way. You shouldn't even be thinking that way. So the whole foundation of our scriptures prevents these types of perversions that my opponent would probably say, well, you know, you just don't understand it, but it's African. So I guess anything African is good, or anything African is better. But we'll see. Let me see. I got one more. Here go another one. Oh boy, this gets crazy. Oh, let's listen to this one. This is also by Frederick Nugent. It's under the same article. 3 strange sex rituals practiced in Africa. This one is called sexual cleansing, which is locally referred to as kusasi fumba or kusasi fumbi. Is a popular African tradition practiced in several African countries, such as Malawi, Zambia, Kenya, and more. During the ritual, a woman is expected to have sex with a professional male sex worker, locally known as a hyena.
All right. Uh-oh. Wow. I don't know. We're going to keep this thing rolling. It's time for the rebuttal, family. It's time for the rebuttal. We're going to set this timer for 10 minutes once again and hand this thing over to Goldmind. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your rebuttal, brother.
All right, family, let's not forget, the title is African Spirituality versus the Bible, a book. I look at my African spirituality as well as my people's culture, and I'm willing to take the good and leave the bad, just like you're willing to look within that Bible and take the good and leave the bad. But if we was to do a comparison, since we throwing dirt, we was to do a comparison of the constant molestations, the mass murder that's taking place under the guise of the Bible and still going on today, it wouldn't even be a close comparison. Speaking of the mutilation of the women, we got to also deal with the African people on the continent being colonized shortly after us, as well as still falling under the same guise of this Bible and trying to follow the literary words of this Bible. Okay, so what about the mass murders that was done under this Bible by the people who excuse their actions by way of this same Bible? Now, if we want to talk about how this African spirituality has not been spread the world over since it's so great, once again, I'm going to refer you back to that dollar that you need, I need to even eat today. If we had control over that image of ourselves, don't you think it would be best for our society? If not anybody's, because we're talking about what's best. And when I talk about what's best, I must first deal with my home and go therefore outward. So when we're talking about what's best, let's deal with that. Let's not forget that, once again, this is the book, the Bible, versus a whole spiritual system. That also, the Bible, inception, was taking place within the African continent. And like I said, there's over 100 million African spiritual systems. Egypt, again, I'm going to read this slide again. Egypt lasted longer than the entire span of what we have come to accept as recorded history. Within Egypt's history was many African spiritual systems. Over 3,000 years, the Egyptians developed a multitude of gods and goddesses. Once again, I'm going to remind you, this is not in relation to worshiping something outside of yourself, but understanding the things within as well as the things that's outside of you, as above, so below. You feel me? So understanding the elements that are within you and how to interact with you. Next slide. And once again, these same people will push that Bible on you that they don't follow. Yet they follow the laws that's pushed by this government, as this government follows the spiritual systems, the ancient African cultures. You see, they build their systems in the way that we have our cities built. Next slide. So that ain't what I'm looking for. Slide 12. Yeah, there we go. All right, once again, I was trying to get to this. Here's a picture that can be seen in Roman catacombs, dates about 1st, 2nd centuries. Once again, I'm showing this to show that even though you got the words in the Bible, here's the actual artwork or actual artifacts in which your Bible stems from or have its inceptions of other people's interpretations of what they saw when they came within African continent, within the many countries that consisted of many cultures having many African spiritual systems. So this is just one of the many African spiritual systems. But you would rather have that Bible, which is consisted of maybe one. Like I said, this is not about Judaism versus Judaism, Christianity, or Islam versus the Bible. I mean versus African spirituality, but the Bible, one book versus African spirituality. The original depiction of Jesus, 3rd century Roman catacombs, the Christian catacombs are extremely important for the art history of early Christian art, as they contain the great majority of examples from before about 400 AD in fresco and sculpture. All right, next slide. All right, here we have the oldest proof of Yahweh. Now, why wouldn't you want to have this? Why? Now, mind you, again, this is found African continent, broken down by people that practice African spiritual systems. Once again, why wouldn't you want to have the African spiritual systems? All right, next slide. I mean, you don't even have your deity at this point. But you got the Bible though. All right. Kwame Opoku, February 26, 2015. All right, churches supported the establishment of colonial regimes, especially through the destruction of societal, cultural, and religious systems in Africa. Until today, racist and ignorant assumptions about African cultures inform the justification of keeping artifacts that missionaries looted from Africa to create collections and museums in Europe. Not to mention, use their depictions or understandings to create a compilation of what we call the Bible today. The central issue can be ascribed to the fact that most of these Europeans intended consciously or unconsciously to destroy what was given in the African cultural world, so as to implant that which is considered, in their view, human, civilized, worthy, or valuable. See, as we see, my brother is constantly putting this connotation upon these people that was given to him by way of the European, speaking as though the things that we practice is vile. Yeah, you may see one or two people doing things that are totally outside of the spectrum. The same African culture, which was belittled by Europeans, had produced many objects and artifacts which both the colonists and missionaries plundered and shipped to Europe. To date, these treasures remain in the museums, mission houses throughout Europe. Once again, said, why is it so great? Why I never left Africa? It's everywhere. And these people are parading it all over the world because we refuse. We refuse to identify as ourselves. We refuse to connect with the things that will give us proof to the things we have read in the book. But once again, it's African spirituality versus the book. So without the proof of that book, what good is it? Next slide. All right. The list of things that
My bad.
Go back one. You good. The list of things that the colonizers took away from Africa is endless. One priceless piece of our identity that was wickedly smashed from us is our artifacts that are now scattered all over the world, miles away miles away from their native lands. Africa's desperate calls for the return of the object's cultural heritage have largely been met with disdain. It's no wonder why. It's in order to keep the lie going, in order to sell more books. And an unabashed defense of the indefensible. In 1897, the British invaded Benin Empire, a pre-colonial nation that was located in now southern Nigeria. Troops ruthlessly burnt the empire to the ground. It's trying to hide, killing thousands and wiping out one of the richest cultures of ancient Africa. The king was forced to flee while the palace was looted of its treasures, such as the bronze, ivory artifacts that chronicled the history and the customs of the king. Commonly described as the Benin bronzes, these plaques and sculptures were numbered in the thousands and ended up in European and American museums. Now, mind you, we're talking about kings. These are the same people that would have a surname in the Bible of God. So let's not act like these people don't matter. Not to mention, these people were you. Let's go to the next slide. They were your blood. They were black people, African people. All right, the oldest, most complete gospel book on earth is in Ethiopia. Let's not get this twisted. When we say book, I already said, let's not forget the topic of the day is African spirituality versus the Bible, a book. And if we're talking about the book, we're talking about the oldest Bible. The oldest Bible with 81 books in Ethiopia, not to mention the Coptic language. Was also used to decipher many ancient languages. Next slide. So, all right. In 1868, the British captured Magdala, the emperor of Tawandros, second's mountain capital in the northeast Ethiopia, and left destruction in their wake. Among other crimes, the British Army looted Ethiopia's churches of a range of valuable cultural objects and treasures, including crowns, gold and silver, crosses, numerous manuscripts documenting Ethiopia's history from the era of Solomon and Sheba. Names sound familiar. To a book. To the early 19th century, various illustrated Jeeves manuscripts were also stolen. So once again, family, we're still talking about African continent, where African people was, filled with African spirituality. So all this proof lies within the walls of African spirituality. Next slide. All the proof of the religions, whether it's, like I said, the Quran, the Kabbalah, or the Bible. So when we want to go prove this, we have to go back home. And not to mention, they spread it all over. So once again, we left up out of here with our information. I mean, our information has left up out of Africa because it's that important. Relief of an ark-like image, according to Exodus 25:10-16. The Ark of the Covenant was the rectangular box carried on poles. The museum has a basalt relief from Arslan Tash, northern Syria, from c. 750 BCE, which depicts two men carrying a rectangular box on poles. Notice the buckets, which are found in a number of Assyrian ritualistic reliefs, and suggest that the men might be priests. Two key differences between this image and the biblical description is that the Bible ark had its poles at its base, not the top, and the Bible ark had two poles, not one. All right, next slide. More artifacts, family. We got the
All right. Shout out to Brother Goldmind for dropping that knowledge. We're going to pass this thing over to Brother MikhaEL. Brother MikhaEL will set the timer for 10 minutes. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your rebuttal, family.
Ready.
All right.
Okay. So where I stopped off at before the time cut was I was reading, you see, I want to continue reading the article because I saw some people in the chat say, dang, they wanted to hear that. So let me find it back again. Let's go back to it. And here we go. Okay, sexual cleansing. This is a ritual in Africa. Oh, and we're going to talk more about the spiritual side of it all, because it's a lot of things that we know and we do agree, derived from Kemet. And, you know, the brother spoke of Kemet quite often in his last one. I seen some pictures. And, you know, we love Kemet. He say he'll take the good with the bad. So we're going to see if he going to actually do that. Sexual cleansing, which is locally referred to as kusasi fumbi, is a popular African tradition practiced in several African countries such as Malawi, Zambia, Kenya, and more. During the ritual, a woman is expected to have sex with a professional male sex worker, locally known as a hyena. You heard that right, people. A hyena. All this just sounds wrong. This ritual occurs when a girl gets her first menstrual period, when a married woman loses her husband, or after an abortion. That's quite odd. Wow. At times, the ritual is carried out by a selected future husband or the widow's brother-in-law. Hyenas are not supposed to use any form of protection when performing the ritual, a requirement that has played a big role in the spread of HIV and other STDs and unwanted pregnancies. Now, all of that, of course, would have just been eliminated with what I read earlier in Leviticus 19:29. Don't prostitute thy daughter, and don't have our daughters as little whores, because that's definitely what you're doing. They got professional male sex workers called hyenas, man. Y'all hear this? Hyenas. But what really would eliminate all of these strange customs that I'm bringing out, you can find in this same book. And so what my opponent is failing to do, with all respect to him, he's dragging on, but I'm not hearing what would be conducive and tangible out of anything that he said for us today. But everything I'm reading, you see how it literally cuts the madness that come from over there. So I guess when he was searching for the great African spirituality, he skipped over all this other stuff that I'm going to bring out because he had to run into it. Leviticus chapter 20. We got actually whole chapters about preventing immoral types of behaviors. For example, we could go to this one, verse 10. It say, and if a man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death. That is an example throughout the community that it's a no-no to be out here sleeping with other people's spouses. Verse 11. And the man that lieth with his father's wife have uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon them. Now, it actually gets so detailed in our manuscript that because we know it's some sick people out there. You know, people that always like to bank on, we don't need a book to tell us what's right and wrong. But evidently, some people do. And this is why things like incest goes on. But we make sure, our God makes sure that you will not have that excuse because something naturally felt right to you. Verse 13, if a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them had committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Now, it's funny I brought that up because y'all know what that's talking about. Of course, that is talking about homosexual activity. That's a no-no in our community. If you go look at the AIDS rate in Atlanta right now, if Atlanta, forget the religion. I'm not talking about the religion. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people who say they follow the Bible, say their religion comes from the Bible, but they don't. Now, I agree with my brother on that part. But if we took the book and its words technically and pulled it out aside of the religious dogma, then you wouldn't have an epidemic going on in places like Atlanta. But what's funny though, let's go back and see where a lot of this type of stuff comes from, that original spirituality that my brother brought up, from places like, Kemet. Oh boy, I know some of y'all know this one. Horus and Set. Oh yes. Let's look at their spiritual system, y'all. Horus and Set, the contentions of them. A further famous story about same-sex intercourse can be found in the Kahun Papyri. dating back to the Middle Kingdom. It contains the nearly completed preserved story of the Osiris myth and the legendary fight for the throne of Egypt between Horus and Seth. The chapter in question reports that Seth was unnaturally jealous about his young nephew Horus. Because Horus was very young and popular, he was quite pampered by the other gods. Seth instead had very few companions, and he was a comparatively unpopular because of his choleric and vindictive behavior. As a result, Seth tried to either chase away or even kill Horus, no matter what the cost. When Seth consistently fails, he plans to humiliate his rival so badly that Horus would be banned from Egypt forever. Seth invites Horus to a party and convinces the teenage Horus to drink more than Horus could normally cope with. When Horus is drunk, Seth seduces him to sleep over the night in one bed together. When lying together in the one bed, Seth grabs Horus and rapes him. But Horus has tricked Seth, his drunken stage. He catches Seth's semen with his hand and hides it. Next in the morning, Horus runs to his mother Isis, right? Or Aset, to tell her what happened. Aset is first speechless with rage and disbelief. Then she tells Horus to masturbate using the semen to lubricate Seth's favorite food, the Egyptian lettuce. Totally clueless, Seth eats the manipulated lettuce. Then he goes to the divine court to inform on Horus. At first, the divine judge swears at Horus, but when Thoth, the scribe of the court, calls for Seth's semen to emerge from the body of Horus, instead, the semen of Horus emerges from the body of Set. Set blushes in embarrassment and shouts, flees. Horus is acquitted. This famous rape of Horus by his jealous uncle was also subjected of passionate discussions. While most scholars agree that the purpose clearly describes rape, it must remain open if actually describes a homosexual-driven deed. Now, I know even some of the other versions myself from when we used to battle the Kemets, the Cometics, when we was, with the Hebrew war machine. You got one where it says she called, Aset called for the sperm, and it came crawling out Seth's ear. Now, hold on, man. This is the ridiculous that you want us to return back to. Now, if you just read our scriptures right here, we're not even playing with even trying to metaphysicalize that. So when this brother get a chance, I want him to defend the contentions of Horus and Set. I want you to rationalize that, because anything you tell me to rationalize in the Bible, I can do. Also, the brother brought up war. Okay, let's talk about war. Civil wars in ancient Egypt. This is on a Controversal from Professor Carr. Y'all can look this up. Because it is surrounded by deserts like the land of Oz, Egypt is pretty hard to invade. So a lot of time Egypt was at peace. And it says, but not all the time. The Egyptians fought amongst themselves over who would be in charge of their country. Civil wars was quite often in Egypt and murderous and bloody. And over whether the fights were over whether the country would be united, as in the first immediate period. Victims of the Civil War, and right here they have artifacts on the wall with a bunch of decapitated men with their heads on the floor, and all they have is the top of their neck sticking up. Victims of, and it says, it's inscripted under it, victims of the Civil War in ancient Egypt. They're bound with ropes and have their heads cut off and placed between their legs. This is from the Narmer pilot. Of course, that was about 3000 BC. So, his whole argument and people weak argument that I hear quite often about, why is it all these murders and things under these, under these basically the Abrahamic faiths? Well, if you say all of these faiths somewhat derive, this is you, not me. All of these faiths, or you said the Bible somewhat derived from the older, then you know it.
Shout out to both debaters. We're gonna get now into the rapid fire round. What we're gonna do is we're gonna set this timer for 15 minutes. And brother MikhaEL, since Goldmind went first, you have the floor to ask the first question, brother, whenever you're ready.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me see. All right, yeah. Our beloved brother Goldmind. Question. Let me see. Is there an African or Kemetic, which is Northeast African, document that explains why we went into slavery as a people?
Is there a doc? Yes, I'm almost sure there is, as one of the many laws of the African spirituality systems is the laws of correspondence, which means um, not the law of correspondence. I meant the law of polarity, which means as sure as things is going positive, things can go negative. That's just how things go. So if you want to speak about the mundaneness of being enslaved, the human thing about that, yeah, I would definitely say that would represent how we see the potential to be enslaved when we was king.
Okay. I guess I can accept it. So basically, you saying you're not sure if it's one, but you just basically
No, I'm not.
gave.
I gave you an answer. What was the Bible compiled?
I said we still on my question though, because I'm trying to make sure your answer is clear. I was
I
asking you, did African spiritual document
and
like
I
the
gave
kingdom
you the
name?
principles that are within African spirituality, which one of them is polarity, which falls in the seven hermetic principles, which lets you know about positive and negatives.
What can
So
I?
as sure as we was kings, it's not far stretched that we would wind up enslaved.
Okay, so
Now,
this
if
is
you want a detail for detail upon the mundane human life that we live, nah, I ain't got that for you right now. But that's your answer for me. Now, my
okay.
question is, where was the Bible compiled?
Where was it compiled?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Do you mean exactly like? Do you want to go back as far as the Dead Sea Scrolls, or do you mean the 66 or the 1611 version?
Now, you got to stay within the Bible. Dead Sea Scrolls ain't the Bible. When I say where was the Bible compiled, I mean like what continent? That's much as I'm gonna give you. Where they
Well,
put the Bible together in.
I would have to say probably. Well, we know that the oldest one that's put together is actually in Ethiopia, which has more than the 66 books. So
Appreciate
it
it.
would, yeah, Ethiopia.
Appreciate it.
That, that was before the version of Europe.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's real talk. No question.
Okay. My question is, do you have any type of documents? Now, this is why I'm asking for documents, because it's real easy for me to just read mine, you know. But do you have any documents that reflect this African spirituality that will like prevent, let's say, like certain moral things like homosexuality? Is there anything written in codified that like everybody can see it, that reflects African spirituality, that says homosexuality is not to be tolerated?
I mean, it's mighty funny you keep bringing up everybody can see it. I ain't seen no slides from you. But, as far as I go right back to them seven hermetic principles where gender is definitely a part of it, and it speaks about how masculine and feminine procreate or progress. So, I mean, there's plenty other documents. We can go into the laws of Mayat. Let me try to pull it up. I know, so I can give you the exact, but I ain't gonna hold you up. But one of the 42 laws of Mayat is I didn't have sex in an unnatural manner. So these are different things that you would have to check yourself on. This is something people use to self-check. So this to me, I feel like that's an
Okay.
applicable answer.
Okay, well, actually, I'm well read in my yacht. It's actually more than 40. It's actually 100 and something. It's 40,
Of
42 and
course, I
42.
refer to the most
And,
known.
all right, let me finish. It doesn't say in an unnatural matter. It said, I have not slept with man. No one knows if that's a man saying that or if that's a man. Oh, let me finish, brother. I'm educating you on this. And I also
No, I said I appreciate that correction.
okay, no, it's cool. But my question was something that said it wouldn't be tolerated. Like even when you read that in Mayat, it does not have a penalty for it if you do it, as opposed to our scriptures from Leviticus, the 18th chapter, Leviticus, the 20th chapter, and a couple of other spots. It clearly states the penalty for these actions. That is not in Mayat. So do you have somewhere else?
We're dealing with natural laws. We don't feel like a man has to go out of his way to correct another man. Once again, I said it's a self-checking system. So if you checking yourself, you know when that karma come around, because you didn't follow these principles, or you didn't self-check yourself as Maya would have you do, that's your consequence. We ain't gonna go out here and stone each other because hey, this man did something I ain't want him to do like the Bible would have.
Okay.
Where was Moses raised at?
Oh, yeah, that means no, you don't have anything written.
Nah, I answered you. Where was Moses raised at? And you even corrected one of my answers. I got you two.
I just asked yes or no. Do you have it written?
Where was Moses raised at? I gave you two. You even corrected one of them. You buying time?
No, but I don't think you got my question. My question said where. Brother, I think the crowd understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to like, drive.
Documentation is the Maya laws not documented.
Yes, but you're not hearing what
the principles not documented.
The question was, do you have something documented that shows that it will not be tolerated? That in Mayat does not say a penalty or not tolerating. That's just somebody making a.
Looking for somebody to be stoned that's within the pages of the Bible. But you don't even follow that. So why you looking for me to pull that out of African spirituality?
Okay, basically that means no. Okay, go ahead.
I just gave you an answer. You looking for somebody to get stoned, and I said we don't got that.
I ain't said nothing about no stone.
Where was
Moses? You can get shot, you can get burned, you can get cut up. It could be anything. I ain't said nothing about no.
A lot of things can happen in life, but they ain't got nothing to do with my question. Where was Moses raised at?
You said where was he raised at?
Mm-hmm.
He was raised in Kemet.
Okay. Your question. Just saying the story.
Okay. Also, I would like to ask, does ancient Kemet have any laws against incest? Anywhere, any papyri, any pyramid text, anything. Do they have any laws for society against incest?
Good question. Not that I can pull out the top of my head. Given that they was the people that was progression, that's not progressive. So, I mean, like I said, not that I can pull out the top of my head. My question would be next. Why do you refer to things in Africa? Yeah, I said, why do you refer to things in Africa? But the proof of what's in the Bible can only be found.
Ask that again. Hold on. Trying to plug my charge up so my battery don't go dead. Okay. Okay, now what was your question, brother? My bad.
Trying to read it out. All right, I got you. Where does the Bible? Where does the Bible speak of the Septuagint?
Say that again.
Where does the Bible speak of the Septuagint? I think that's how you pronounce it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Where does it speak of the Septuagint, which is basically the one of the earliest writing forms of the Old Testament? Is that what you asked? To speak of it?
Yeah.
It doesn't name Septuagint. It doesn't name Septuagint by name. That's actually a foreign name.
Okay. No question.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. I want to give you a good one. I only had a couple of them wrote down. Okay. Let's see. How would the African spirituality system, how would it help poverty? Does it have an answer for economic plan or anything like that? And the reason I ask that is because with the Bible, they're all connected. Like under our spiritual system comes a constitution, which comes laws, will come agriculture and everything else, and even economics. So do you have a codified together African spiritual guide to help with like poverty, economics, things of that nature?
Of course, you like keep bringing up Timid. One of the main focal points of Timid was agriculture is king. So it was a constant practice, as well as it's referred to in the Bible, as I said earlier. Surname for God. I mean, the surname God was given to the kings, who also held a rod and a staff, which wore agricultural tools. So, unless you're looking for an exact document that tells you how to pull weeds and stuff like that, that's my answer.
Okay, that's cool. I go with that. You got another question?
Why do you refer to the things in Africa but can't be found in the Bible? Like the things that you speak of as far as your spiritual system. Why do you refer to these things as though they can't be found in Africa?
I never did. I never said that. As a matter of fact, when you were dealing with the African spiritual system, what seemed fun to me, I actually got the information. I was gonna pull it up. That I can find.
100 million African spiritual system.
Let me finish. I was still answering. What I was saying is we actually have tribes in Africa who actually have Hebrew customs, strictly from the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy before they even seen the King James Bible, because they passed it on from them because they're original Israelites.
Right.
So no, I never said that, brother.
All
right. Okay. All right. Is there anything in the African spiritual system, let's say like let me see. Like for example, this is gonna be my last question. Let me see. Deuteronomy. I'm gonna go to our book, go to the Torah. Deuteronomy chapter 30. I would like to ask you, is there anything in the African spiritual system, like you said earlier, due to polarity, things just happen, and so we winded up in slavery, because everything triggers something else. I'll take that. But my thing is, do y'all have anything in the African spiritual system like this? It says, Deuteronomy chapter 30, it tells us, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse which I have set before thee, that thou shalt call them to mind among the nations, whether the Lord God hath driven thee. So wherever we scattered at, we supposed to remember these words, right? It says, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, that thou children with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that when the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, brother, the Lord God have scattered thee. It's okay. So I'm asking, is there anything in the African spiritual system that actually tells us how to come up out of this exile and come back home? How do we collectively come out? Like, what's the instructions to get us to get up out of here?
First instruction, I would think, just referring to the agricultural king, do for self. Like, one of the easiest things for a person to do is see somebody else doing and pick up and do for yourself. So when you got the pharaoh or you got the leader doing agriculture and pushing it, yeah, it goes downhill. Now, when it comes to growing plants and doing all that, that can be trial and error, but you can figure it out. Like, as far as having an actual detail for detail scripture like you just read, nah, I can't pull one of those off the top of my head either. But I will point out the practices that we obviously practice within African spirituality, which is doing for self.
Okay, I respect your honesty, brother. I really do respect your honesty. And again, I'm sorry we got off rocky, with the whole situation earlier. But I
No,
appreciate.
I understand where that come from, bro. I would have, you know what I'm saying, probably felt the same. Now, as far as like African spiritualities, you do recognize that when I say African spirituals or African spirituality, that consists of more than just what's within Kemet or Ethiopia, what we know about Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I figured you was talking even more of the West African countries. You got like Eritrea,
Okay.
All right. Shout out to both debaters. We're gonna now get into the closing. We're gonna set the timer for 5 minutes. Brother Goldmind, whenever you're ready, you could begin your closing, brother.
All right. Family. All right. Let me get to this conclusion. The Bible is a book based on African people from the periphery of African spirituality, taken from the many cultures that make up the continent. I am not here to take Bibles from Black people, only to decrease the division within the ranks. As a child preacher, I would often ask myself, how do we bridge this gap? Only to realize I was a part of the problem. As I noticed how the Bible was used to justify not being there for a family, as one would just write it off to God's punishment. What did we do so bad that commanded this neglect? In our pain, as our ancestors and many of us cry out for relief. Where was this great waymaker when our ancestors were enslaved and being killed? Or was this the way? Was this the Bible's way? I'm reminded of the words of my grandmother. These young folks done lost their natural minds. We were told we had lost our way. How do we find our way beyond the book we was given when we was not allowed to write nor read? All this was outlawed. It should make one question, why this book? Why is the practice we call religion backed by the same government that we know has been trying to stop an uprising of the people that's being held down? Can you pull up them slides, so
Okay, no problem.
one has to ask themselves, why am I afraid to identify with my African spiritual systems? Was that part of the plan to separate us here and abroad, making us choose a part of our culture, a part of our spiritual systems against the other? Names changed to hide the roots, hide our roots. You would rather take the Bible over the proof that the practices that were done in spirit of Africans as kings and queens move, so should you. Become self-sufficient in your knowledge thereof. Don't limit yourself to one book, for who knows one book knows none. Getting back to some of the artifacts that prove some of the literature that we see within the Bible. This is where it has its inception. This is where people was able to look at these artifacts and determine what it meant to them, as well as ask the people who they came in contact with when they would come into the great continent of Africa, filled with over 100 million spiritual systems. So we can pinpoint, like I told Brad earlier, we can pinpoint some of the faults of our people, or you can do like you do with the Bible. You leave the flaws and pick the things that's worthy of continuing. So we pick the things that's worthy of continuing. One of the things that we see that our people are in that Bible, so we have to show our people that you're part of that. You're part of that great history. But if you want to stick to that African spirituality versus the Bible, well, here's your proof of the many things that they interpreted and changed the names within the Bible based on what they seen when they came to Africa and seen the many African spiritual systems. Here you have the quadrilateral Darius I jar. Darius I of Persia, also known as Darius the Great, is mentioned in the biblical books of Haggai. Zechariah, Malachi, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Daniel. The museum has a Persian calcite jar with 4 inscriptions that praise Darius in 4 different languages. One more language than the Rosetta Stone. The Old Persian, Elamite, and Akkadian inscriptions read Darius, Great King, and the Egyptian hieroglyphs read King of Upper and Lower Egypt, Lord of 2 lands. Darius living eternally, year 36. Go ahead, next slide. Let's speed this up. Yahweh Sabaoth inscription. This limestone inscription from a burial cave in Judah, 800 to 750 BCE, is written in Paleo Hebrew script and reads, "Cursed be Haggai, the son of Haggai, by Yahweh." Once again, these are artifacts found within the continent. Next slide. This Akkadian tablet, which contains over 630 lines, comes from the southern Mesopotamian city of Larsa during the 2nd year.
All right. Peace to Brother Goldmind for that closing. We're gonna now hand this thing over to Brother MikhaEL. Brother MikhaEL, whenever you're ready, I'll set the timer for 5 minutes. Whenever you're ready, you can begin your closing, brother.
Hey, shalom. I'm ready, my brother. Like I said, man, thank you everybody for tuning in. Because to be quite honest with you, I don't feel too hot. Cut my foot and got an infection, so I got to get ready to take some antibiotics. But with all that being said and done, I enjoyed the debate with the brother. Like I said, started off, I was fuming, because I seen the little incident earlier. I felt like it was kind of slick at first. But hey, I'm a debater, and I'll debate under almost any circumstances. But I just like to get back. So the point that I was trying to drive out earlier and trying to convey to you all is the fact that there are a lot of spiritual systems on the planet. There are a lot of other concepts that exist amongst other people other than the Israelites. And to say that everything in them is bad or everything in them has no great purpose would be kind of asinine. What my point is that I'm trying to make is, as compelled as a whole, a compilation put together from everything to agriculture, to geography, to health, you know what I'm saying, to morality, to even dealing with politics. There is no other scriptures. There's no other manuscript put together as detailed as the Holy Bible. Even you've had atheist professors confess to this, although they may not believe in what they consider to be the mystical or the religious things in it. They say that the book, you see no book with genealogy in it like this. You know what I mean? And so, all these type of things. So I'm champion for this book to be more tangible and more practical and not just looked at as a spooky book. Also, when you're dealing with like economics, man, you can go to Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, and 14th verse, and it basically tells you don't withhold wages from poor and needy workers, and you see that reflected in James 5:4. These things that if we applied this, our community crime rate would drop. You know what I mean? And it would help people, man. We got a lot of people out there that's poor and all that type of stuff. Also, in Deuteronomy 25:13, it tell you don't have two diverse kind of weights. You can't be around here. You know what I'm saying? Because when you had this weight, sometimes you would have people that would sell, they would buy and they would sell. And so like if you're dealing with some salt or something, or some grain or some frankincense, you want to be able to weigh it and make sure everything was balanced. But if you have an unbalanced demo, then basically it was for swindling. People would get over on you like they do you in the Chinese, in these little beauty salon shops and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Also, Leviticus 19:13, don't defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him that is hired. Don't keep his money all night pay him ASAP. Y'all know how y'all done dealt with cats, man, especially in our community. You go and do a job for them. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to get paid that payday that night before you go home to the family. You know, now this cat done cut his cell phone off. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, I got you. You know, now you chasing this cat 3-4 weeks for a job you did a month ago. So we got answers for all these type of things. You know, things that can literally help you in life. And this all is based off of a spiritual system. Leviticus 19:35-36. It commands us not to have unjust judgment towards one another. You can't come together and judge unjustly. You see what I'm saying? And that also deals with cheating people out of their stuff. Also in 1 Thessalonians 4:6 testifies to that you're not supposed to hire frauds in your community. Now, I say all that to say, if the so-called conscious community, even today, the HOK, for example, they got cats over there robbing people dead grandmamas out the grave, man. That cat Polite will sell you a vacant lot. Like, I mean, if you want to get scammed, just go to the conscious community. And that's because they don't have no principle codified like the Holy Bible. They say that they repeat the same sentiment that my beloved brother Goldmind repeats, echoes rather, but I don't think that he got a wicked heart. But they repeat those same things. Mother Africa, let's go back to spiritual system, the ancestors. Then they talking about they talking to the ancestors. But last time I checked, them ancestors wasn't speaking English. When them slave boats came and got us, none of them cats speaking English. So how is you talking to them? You see what I'm saying? But they'll call us spooky. Did you have a translator? So did you have like another dead translator there to translate? But anyway, my point is, if that had this, it'd be better.
All right. Shout out to both debaters. It was a very interesting debate, to say the least. We're going to now get into the interrogation round. Man, so who do you think I should interrogate first? Give me a 1 for MikhaEL and give me a 2 for Brother Goldmind. Who should I interrogate first? 1 for MikhaEL, 2 for Goldmind. Yeah. There's always something new going here on Solar Vision Debate League, man. Yeah, that. Shame on you when you step to do. Shame on you when you step to do. I was checking out that ODB documentary. He was talking about, matter of fact, he was talking about how he was an Aboriginal. Ironically, he was saying that he was connected with, I think that his family was connected with the family going back to the Native Americans that actually sold New York City to the white man. And it's a very interesting documentary.
Deep. What the heck?
Yeah, that's tripped out because, you know, Chicago was owned by DuSable, a black man, and he sold it for $3,000 and got out of Dodge because they were going to kill him.
Yeah, and when they was looking at, like, you know, we was checking out the, one of his family members was going through the birth records of, you know, it was like Native Americans, but they was black. They definitely was black. You know what I'm saying? I mean, black in the sense, like, you know, how we...
Yeah, you know, they eventually made them start...
But
they eventually made them start being classified as black.
So, with that being said, we said we got a bunch of 2s in the building, so that will be Brother Goldmind. So, we're going to get this thing rocking. Rocking. What's going on?
Here's the hot seat. What's up, Solar? Ready for the infamous Solar.
Hold on.
Alright.
Let me get my sword. My sword.
Thought you just said, let me get my sword.
I used to call the sword the sword. You know, sword.
The sword.
Yeah, I used to pronounce the W. And
you know, I got a heavy draw myself.
Sword.
Let me get my sword out on these.
We want to go to Proverbs real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 4, verse. This one is about to start.
You been reading that much.
Chapter 4, verse 21, it says, let them not depart from thy eyes. Keep them in the midst. Oh, that's right. My son, attend to my words and incline thy ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thy eyes. Keep them in the midst of thy heart. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart in all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a forward mouth and perverse lips, put far from thee. Let thy eyes look on the right, and let thy eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder not the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. This was okay, yeah. So pretty much, the way of the wicked. All right, so let's go to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28. Leviticus 19, verse 28 says, ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall thou beard the corners of thy beard. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Brother Goldmind. Are you there, brother?
Yeah.
Is female mutilation common in Africa?
Not at all. I would say it's limited to that one tribe he brought up.
He said it's in over 30 countries in Africa.
Yeah. Be that as it may, we talking about the Bible versus African spirituality? Would that send these people to heaven or hell? Given that the covenant deals with circumcision, maybe they got it from the Bible.
Well, the title is African spirituality or the Bible, which is better for our society.
Yeah. Right, but they speak of circumcision in the Bible. I can't point out no circumcision that was necessary within African spirituality that I subscribe to.
Well, you know how many countries is in Africa?
Yeah, 54.
Okay, so out of the 54 countries, 30 of them practice female mutilation. Female circumcision.
Would that make them part of the covenant?
I'm not a biblical scholar, but I think the circumcision is just relegated to the male.
Nah, I would mess around, Solomon, bro.
Ain't your time,
I
ain't
would
your time to
assume
mess
the
around,
same
bro.
too.
It's time to answer the question.
I would assume the same thing too. I answered as best I could.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is, he read to me clearly that this would be prevented. He gave me the elements of what female mutilation would do to the female. It would have a cause on the birth. It would cause a lot of infections, things of that nature. That's kind of unwarranted,
Are you
Just trying to
saying
make
that's
it
an
like,
African spirituality practice, or is that an African culture?
well, I'm assuming that if it's talking about some type of circumcision that is connected to their culture, maybe their religion.
Yeah, because I don't see that in. I don't know what spiritual system that is to defend it. It doesn't reverberate African spirituality. We also got to take into account that, like the brother stated, there's plenty of people on the continent that practice what they want to practice. It don't mean that there's African spirituality because it's on the continent. We see circumcision depicted on the walls. I'm trying to remember exactly which one, where it's the priest circumcising, and a lot of the brothers try to refer to that as a homosexual activity going on, but it's actually the circumcision of the priest, which were males.
All right,
No,
so
like I said, the
we
things
talking
that I
about female
subscribe to,
circumcision right now. So
I don't
I mean, are you
subscribe
going
to
to
it.
engage this mutilation or not?
I said I don't subscribe to it, nor do I condone it. As I told him, I'm willing to
So
take
this
the
is in
good
over
things of
30
the
of your
African
African
spirituality
countries.
and leave the bad.
This is
I
in
don't see
over
a
30 of
purpose.
your African countries, brother.
Yeah, like I said, I don't see a purpose in it. I don't see it as African spirituality, nor is it something I subscribe to.
So what you saying, in all 30 of those countries, that's over half of Africa, they don't have no spiritual system?
I mean, if you can show me where they saying that's part of their spiritual system, why they do it, I definitely try to defend it. But I don't see where that would be part of the spiritual systems. I would see that as a newfound practice.
You said a newfound practice. Brother MikhaEL.
How old is it? Yeah.
Yes, sir, brother.
Cause like
Um,
I said, I'm definitely
can you
not familiar
show
with that.
how any of those circumcisions were connected to um, the spiritual systems in Africa?
Possibly like how old they are.
How old they are? Hold on, let me see, because I actually closed those tabs out. So let me try to pull it back up. Let me see.
While he's getting that together, we could kind of move forward. Just let me know when you get it, bro.
Okay.
Um,
I got you. I got you.
Okay.
all right. The brother made mention to sex rituals with the wife
Mm-hmm.
stealing in African. They call it wife stealing. The Fulani culture, where you got, the husbands, they get to sleep with random women, and they're saying that this is we know that there's an AIDS problem in Africa. They
Mm-hmm.
attribute the spread of AIDS to things that is practicing certain rituals like these that is practiced in African society. Um, you being a proponent of African spirituality, would you implement these types of rituals in your society?
No. As is not practiced as a whole, so yeah, I definitely wouldn't.
You wouldn't. Why?
What would be the purpose? And let men just randomly have sex with random women and
Obviously,
still
they got it's a
wives.
purpose over there.
Once again, I'm not an African spirituality zealous. I deal with what's progressive and leave what ain't. Like I'm sure my brother don't take every word for word in that Bible because a lot of things
Brother
is practiced in the
Mikhael.
Bible.
I got that information for you,
All right,
bro.
before you do that, what part of the Bible don't you follow?
Mm.
Well, like for one, I've did this before when we was on the show. For one, like the judgment laws when we was kids, but and that's according to the Bible though, so it's not like my choice. It tells
Mm-hmm.
once we were sent into captivity, we will be now under the Gentiles' rulership. So meaning that when we had our own governing body and he told us to carry out these judgment laws, we did them unjustly. So now that we're over here in America, for instance, I can't stone a dude for being a homosexual.
Okay, so that's according to your Bible, though.
Yes, that's according to the Bible. That's not my own personal thing. If we still had to do it, I'll still be doing it.
So he's pretty much saying that he just follow his Bible.
He just said he don't at the point
No,
because
he's
he got
saying
to
that the
follow the
reason why.
laws
No, he's
right
saying
now.
that it's
But
certain
if he could, he would.
No, he's saying that it's certain prescripts in his Bible that under certain conditions he doesn't have to do certain things in the Bible, but he got that from his Bible. That's what he's saying.
Okay.
So where are you getting this from that you don't want to adhere to your African spiritual system?
The things that you just put on me that tried to say that as a spiritual system, I still haven't got the feedback that that is an African spiritual system that they was practicing by circumcising women, other than something they probably was passed on to them by some medical doctors. Hey, if you circumcise the women, like that don't sound very spiritual. What's the spiritual revelation that comes to a woman
All
from
right,
being
brother
circumcised?
MikhaEL,
Yeah,
do you have that information?
yeah, buddy. This is from HHS, and it's titled this is actually a study of religious differences. Religious
Mm-hmm.
differences in female genital cutting, a case study from Burkina Faso, and this is an African professor. So, okay, and here's the abstract. It says the relationship between religious obligations and female genital cutting is explored using data from Burkina Faso, a religiously and ethnically diverse country where approximately 3/4 of the adult women are circumcised. Data from the 2003 Burkina Faso Demographic and Health Survey are used to estimate multi-level models of religious variation in the intergenerational transmission of female genital cutting. Differences between, and then it gets into like the differences between Christians, Muslims. They practices male circumcision and adherence of traditional religious are reported along with assessment of the extent to which individual community characteristics account for religious differences, religious variation, and the international transmission of female genital cutting is largely explained by specific specific religious beliefs that's important of collective rather than time practice keywords female genital no, this female. Hold on, this is a long article, y'all. Trying to just zoom in on where it names a specific African religion. One more female genital cutting, 28 African countries, as well as in the parts of Asia and the Middle East, opposed to practice without African. To be quite honest with you, this stuff is so long, I can't see where it exactly says where the religious aspect is to it, although it's named religious. I don't see it where it actually says
Like
it.
a specific religion, you're saying?
Yeah,
Nah, if you look up the word religious, it's defined as practice. That don't necessarily mean it's part of a doctrine.
it actually does look like it's just tradition.
Yeah. Hey, also,
All right,
yeah,
so
okay. Appreciate that.
we could go to the sexual cleansing. He made reference to like certain practices in Africa of sexual cleansing, spreading of HIV and STDs is very common because of this practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what do you have to say about that?
I wouldn't deny that it would cause a spread within them 30 countries, but it still don't have nothing to do with African spirituality.
Right, but this is, I mean, we named like about 5 things within the culture that you're saying that which one is better for our society, and you ain't doing none of them. But it's commonly
What you
practiced
talking
in
about?
Africa.
Circumcising my wife? What is that gonna help in society if I did that and participated in?
Well,
Even though you still haven't proved that that's a spiritual system that requires them to do that.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if you're looking at, like, you know, all these practices across the board, like, it's going to come to some point where I'm like, you know,
we can look at a few practices in the Bible that
whatever they
nobody
believe,
condone
I don't
right
want to
now.
follow that. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's condoning all these acts, If their spiritual system is condoning all these acts, then I don't want no parts of their spiritual system.
Outside of the mythos that people like to make human, if you can point out a spiritual text that's talking about what people should do, then I would agree with that too. But you're not pointing out a spiritual text that says that people should circumcise women.
I think that what he pointed out was,
or a spiritual system. That's a
I
trial.
think what he pointed out was in Leviticus 19, in his spiritual
Or some
system,
trials.
in his spiritual system, it says that you can't do that.
You can't circumcise a woman.
Yes, it says in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28.
Never read that one.
That's what I read before I began to read all the other stuff. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28. Verse 19, 28 says, Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land shall fall to whoredom, and the land will become full of wickedness. Y'all having rituals where y'all, the Fulani is having husbands have sex with random women. They call it stealing the wife or something like that. And then there's another ritual where you got, these women getting to choose whatever men they want to have sex with. And they could choose them for husband despite of the fact that they may be already married. You have female circumcision. It's just a bunch of craziness going on. And there is nothing, no laws that is in place to prevent that in your African spirituality.
I pointed out the Hermetic principles as well as one of the other self-checking systems that doesn't, like even the brother corrected me and said,
So
it
name
spoke
one
about
law in
gender
your
sex.
name one law in your African spirituality that is preventing these things from happening.
Okay, within the 7 Hermetic principles, we talk about gender. So the circumcision of a woman, when you talking about a woman, like to me, it don't even make sense. So if these people was dealing with gender specifically, you wouldn't be circumcising these women. There's also practices within Africa where
You said gender.
dealing
What you
with
mean
gender
by gender?
specific.
I
That's
want
like
a law.
the 7th Hermetic principle. I just said it.
You said there's a law talking about gender.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about
As
it?
well as before you get to that, you're dealing with polarity, which shows you the negative and the positive, and how you put the negative with the positive to procreate. Once you get down 4 more, you get the gender. So we're covering bases that let you know that before you even get to that point, that's not spiritual. What is, like I said, I keep on asking, what spiritual
You're not
system does
showing
that
me a law
represent for
that
me
is
to be
condemning that.
defending that? I know the ones that I know of. I don't know of
You're
all
not showing me a
100
law
million
that's
spiritual
condemning that.
systems. I just sit there and said gender. If we talking about gender, we're not
Okay, you're
talking about
saying
gender
gender,
for
but
the
you're not
same
saying
gender.
nothing about them preventing them from
Okay.
getting circumcised.
Circumcision wasn't even heavily practiced. It was mainly for the
You said
priesthood,
over
and I
30
stated
African
that.
countries practice
Hold on.
circumcision. What are you talking about?
Within the spiritual system, it was mainly for the priesthood.
They said circumcision is being
And you still
practiced in
haven't
over
proved
30
that.
African countries.
Practice don't got nothing to do with the spiritual system. You can't tell me
I'm
what that's. I can't
asking
defend
you a
that.
simple question. What law
When
do
I
you
don't know what
have to
spiritual
prevent
system
that
that
from
is.
happening? What law do you got to prevent that from happening if you're against that?
I gave you gender. Within the gender of the 7 Hermetic principles, it speaks about the design denotes function, the actions of a woman and a man. So for you to say that, all right, within the gender,
You're not
it
reading
doesn't
nothing
say
to me.
it.
You're saying in the seven gender is talking about the actions of the functions of the woman and the man. That's
Okay,
like some
let me
vague shit.
pull
I don't
up.
know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Get
Let
into those
me pull
functions.
it up for you. All right, gender, gender. So far for repudiating the relations of the sexes, Hermetic doctrine exalts them as symbolizing the loftiest divine mysteries and enjoins their exercise as a duty. Um, the fulfillment of which, in some at least, of his incarnations is essential to full perfection. That ain't it. Hold on. Let's see. Speaking about gender, this goes more in depth. Let's see. Gender is everything. Everything has a masculine and a feminine principle. Gender manifests on all these planes. No, that's a statement. It goes even further in depth, but I would have to read the whole Kabbalion to you to go even more in depth with the functions. Um, Once again, like I said, it's something that's spoke of and it spoke of in depth about gender. So the male and the female know their place, but it's nothing spoke of in this spiritual system or any
All
spiritual
right, brother.
system that I subscribe to
In
about female circumcision.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10, it says,
As well as
"And the
they
man,
practice it in
and the
India.
man
So
that
how we know
committeth,
it's African.
and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even that he
Mm-hmm.
committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death." That will probably prevent uh, that male sex thing that they got going on in Africa and that female choose
Mm-hmm.
the man thing from happening with that rule.
Mm.
Um, it goes on to say, "A man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood should be upon them. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion, their blood shall be upon them. If a man lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." That sounds like some very direct laws and getting into the man lying with mankind. Is it true that Horus and Seth, Horus tried to have sex with Seth in your mythos?
In the description given in the mythos, it can be taken as a human interaction of the masculine intertwining with another masculine principle. So I don't know what you're asking, really.
You don't know what I'm asking? I
It's
asked
not
that.
a human
I
interaction, is
said,
what
did
I'm saying.
Seth try to rape Horus?
No,
Brother MikhaEL, can you
it's
read that
not
again?
a human action.
Brother MikhaEL, can you read that again from the Calhoun Papyri?
Hold on 1 second.
According to what MikhaEL said, the Calhoun Papyri, uh, the Horus tried to rape. Seth tried to rape Horus, and he
Yeah,
went into his
and it's a
went to
depiction
his
of
mother.
elements.
He went to his
It's a
mother, and his
depiction of
mother made him put his semen inside of the lettuce, so Seth can eat the lettuce with the semen in it.
okay. And my answer was it's a depiction of elements, masculine elements coming into each other. I don't understand why it keeps becoming human. You said it's a mythos. So you know this represents an esoteric, which means it's not talking about humans. Though
Now you see
descriptions are
like
used
you
for
got like
humans to
you got like
understand.
a mythos like Paul Bunyan. You ever heard the Paul Bunyan story?
Mm-hmm. And I don't think I didn't take it literal.
Yeah, but it's something that I could teach my kids so they could learn. You know, the moral of the story is just keep on working hard, and eventually you'll be able to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
And when
so
certain
if
elements
if a
interact with each
story is
other, it's
being
not always
recited
good.
unto the people, and it got those elements in it, then those elements is going to influence the minds of the people that they're telling that story to. Do you not agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if I'm trying to
Okay.
depict an act that I don't think is good to continue, I would make it something that I know you're not interested in. So to depict these elements coming into interaction with each other and causing such traumatic experience, that lets you know when you put this element with this element, not to say I'm just an adept on this subject, but when you put these elements together, it can be an explosion. It could be bad for one of us. So once again, these are mythos describing elements at play. And the spiritual systems of the Comedics, they make that point very clear. They're not trying to depict these elements as though these are actual gods that they worship. They say they're describing elements. And like you said, it's so they can, read the stories to the kids, but when they become of age, you tell them the truth. These were elements. If they start acting as though Peter Pan's story is real, you pull your child to the side. Hold on, bro.
I got the story pulled back up. Or you want me to read it?
All right,
Appreciate it.
go ahead, read some of the story, bro.
All right. It says, this from New Yorkin, Kayum, and Naum Hotep. The best known case of possible homosexuality in ancient Egypt is that of the two high officials. No, this is the one talking about the officials. Hold on, let me go down to the horse and say, here we go. Those was actual real generals that was bumping each other. But here we go. Horus and Seth. Further famous story about the same-sex intercourse can be found in the Kahun Papyri. That's Kahunpapyri, dating back to the Middle Kingdom. It contains the nearly completely preserved story of Osiris, the Osiris myth. It says in the legendary fight for the throne of Egypt between Horus and Seth, or Heru and Set, because I know some brothers would rather you say the real name. The chapter in question reports that Set was unutterably jealous about his young nephew Horus, because Horus was very young and popular. He was quite pampered by the other gods. Seth instead had very few companions, and he has comparatively unpopular because of his caloric and vindictive behavior. As a result, Seth tried to either chase away or even kill Horus, no matter what the cost. When Seth constantly fails, he plans to humiliate his rival so badly that Horus would be banned from Egypt forever. Seth invites Horus to a party and convinces the teenage Horus to drink more than Horus could normally cope with. When Horus is drunk, Seth seduces him to sleep over the night in one bed together. When lying together in one bed, Seth grabs Horus and rapes him. But Horus has tricked Seth. His drunkenness was staged. He catches Seth's semen with his hands and hides it. The next morning, Horus runs to his mother, Aset, to tell her what happened. Aset is first speechless with rage and disbelief.
Wait. All right, that's enough of that shit, man.
Yeah, and this, if you want me to read further, there's another one where actually, where he says, where Set says, I want to copulate between your buttocks.
All right.
Yeah, it's real gay. Okay, let me.
Yeah. So he actually did rape Horus, but Horus, court to semen or some old shit like that, whatever. Like, come on, man. You gonna read that to your kids, bro?
You saying have I?
What would you?
Yeah, not with the tainted version y'all putting up. I just told you that's a mythos. I'm never gonna read my children a mythos story or let them watch a cartoon as though it's realistic. It's like you gonna
I'm
watch
just
some
saying.
lions.
No. Would you read it to them like saying that it's a mythos? Would you read that to them?
Yes, explaining the elements behind it as well. But I haven't got to that story because I don't have the complete understanding
brother.
of that.
We're gonna move forward. Thanks a lot. Brother MikhaEL, what's good? MikhaEL, your mic is muted, something?
Oh yeah, I'm here. My bad. It was still muted.
The brother made mention of the Bible and how mass murderers, mass murdering came at the behest of that very book that you hold dear to. What do you have to say about that? Is that true or false?
That's true.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Now let me reword that. I would say that people did mass murdering and use the Bible, but the Bible, I wouldn't say that the Bible is necessarily the cause of their agenda. They just used it because it was a power tool to use. You could use it for good or evil.
So does it say anything anywhere in your Bible, to kill?
Yeah, we were commanded to kill. God commanded us at times to kill. If you go to Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter, he actually gives you rules of engagements for war. If we went to war, if we went to invade a country, he told us how to kill, how to kill everything, what to do with the livestock, and what to do with the virgin women. If you chose, you could take the virgin women. So yeah, it definitely tells us how to kill.
So you believe that is something that is just?
Yeah. In the context that is put together, let's be honest. The Bible is not just one story. The Bible deals with politics, and also the Bible deals with in case of war. Unlike other books, they either only talking about praise, but this actually told us, because you got to think, it's also a history book about a people. And so it showed us how to go to war and how to conduct ourselves in war. So yes, I think that is perfectly fine in that context.
So you're saying that take virgins and do it with them?
Well, if you've seen a virgin that you liked, hold on, let me find it, Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter. And I think these are foreign nations also. This is not dealing with what you do to your own people. So that's the main thing we need to focus on. And the debate was which one is better for our society. So if this is dealing with our military, it tells us what we can do. Let me see. I think it's Deuteronomy 20. Okay, here we go, verse 10. When thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. It says, and it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. So this telling us, if we going through and we in wartime and we come across certain countries, we could basically declare peace with them. So do y'all want a peace treaty to us, or do y'all want to get wiped out too? If they say, yeah, we want peace, we don't want war, then they will be tributaries. So this is very civilized. It's not just like, chaotic killing. So here it goes, verse 12. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will make war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. So if they reject the peace treaty offer, then, that means it's time to go to war with them. And this is where these laws apply. Verse 13. And when the Lord thy God have delivered it into thy hands, thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof shalt thou take unto thyself. And thou shalt eat the spoil of thy enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Thus shalt thou do unto all the cities which are very far off from thee, and which are in the cities of these nations. And so, yeah, it tells you if we come across them and the war kick off, you kill all the men, and you could take the women, cattle, and all that type of stuff. And then it goes on. Let me see. I believe it's 21. Okay, here we go.
Is that not what the white man did?
Yeah, I mean every nation has done it. Even ancient Kemet.
So So the white man was just pretty much following your Bible when he killed off the Native Americans and took the women.
No, I wouldn't say that, because history teaches us well before the Bible, the ancient Greeks did this same thing. The ancient Romans did this before they were the Holy Roman Empire, before it was any religion even attached to it. Besides,
I mean, how is it outside of the Bible? Like, what did they do wrong?
I mean, I don't get what you're saying on the last part.
I mean, like, you know, when they came over and colonized and raped the women and raped the women and killed all the males. Like, what is it in your Bible that, you know, they were just, you know,
okay,
there's nothing in the
no
Bible.
Problem. Okay, I answer it clearly for you. You know, I ain't got no problem with it. That this is what I'm saying. They already had these tactics. Every nation did. This is just parts of war. Now they pick up the Bible, and you're saying that maybe somehow they're going to apply the Bible. Well, I'll show you how they did it wrong. We can go right over to the next chapter, chapter 21. This is what it says. Now, you say they came through killing and they raped the women. Well, our Bible actually prohibits that. This is what it says. Verse 21. And when thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and the Lord thy God have delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, so you're getting prisoners of war. Watch this. And seest among the captives a beautiful woman. Now, this is the same aspect. So now let's imagine us, the Israelites, doing this as opposed to what the white man did. Let's see what it says, because they saw our little black, beautiful women and they just raped them. But let's see what we had to do. And seest amongst the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thy house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her, and to be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. Now continue. It says, and it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will. But thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Now, this ain't what they did. They did the total opposite. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. So this tells us, not only did we have a process, if we took a woman that we liked from a foreign nation that we was in war with, she had to go through a whole mourning process. Haircut, nails grow, this give her time to mourn. This also had purification rituals behind it. And then it tell you, if you don't want her as a wife, you can let her go and don't sell her off as a slave, but let her go free. Basically, she lost enough and, you know, don't want to be your wife, and let her go. They didn't do that with us. They just straight killed, murdered, and raped, and kept raping. We ain't get no mourning process or none of that type of stuff. It was psychological trauma.
All right, so Brother Goldmind mentioned that we're not sure what Bible to actually follow, because there's over 10 different versions of the Bible, different forms of the Bible. So how can I be able to establish my spirituality with a book that isn't, really directing me, is giving me all different types of interpretations?
Well, I just keep that real simple. In the scriptures, it tell us that the Lord's word would drop like dew, and it would not go unheard, or it would not drop void. Therefore, I just look at what is the largest distributed version of the Holy Bible, and that is the King James Version. Therefore, he promised that it wouldn't go void. So wherever it is, it's going to be the most accessible version out there. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with other versions, but just going off that concept alone, I'm going to take the one that's the most available, because I believe it's the most available for a reason, because God made it that way, so you won't have an excuse.
Um, also, you had a lot of the good things that you say, you know, attribute to the Bible
Mm-hmm.
are rooted in African culture, brother. The most oldest complete gospel book was written in Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
Was it not?
I don't have, I'm the one that said that.
Right? And he said it also.
Yeah, I said that during the debate. He asked me the question, and I
I
told him
showed the artifact.
Yeah, yeah. He actually showed the PowerPoint that, you know, the most oldest complete gospel book is in Ethiopia.
yeah, that I don't have a problem with that.
Well,
We were in.
would that not be African spirituality?
That's the question you should ask him, because that would see. That's the whole thing. My debate is
A
what
definite yes.
right. That's
One of
the
the many.
my whole debate was, you heard what I said through the gate. I don't have a problem with people even saying Israel is on the African continent, but the fact that he chose to put African spirituality against the Bible in itself is saying that it's not a part of the Bible. So the confusion is on his end, because I never made that claim. I pulled out abstract practices that I knew
My
was not
point
a
is
part.
taking a part of it versus having all of it.
So you're taking bits and pieces of African spirituality and trying to apply it to somehow create your own religion.
Yes. My own practice, religion being
Hey, hey,
practice,
chill,
what I
yo,
do.
go mine.
You talking to me?
You're not talking, brother.
Oh, I thought you was talking to me. My bad.
I'm talking to
So
brother MikhaEL.
Oh, I sure thought that's who you was talking to. No, I'm not saying that at all. Actually, my argument is that there's biblical spiritual customs in Africa, is because it's Israelites in Africa, and there's always been Israelites in Africa. If you can also pull up the story in Acts of the of the Ethiopian that came from Ethiopia, which we know was an Israelite, because he was following the law that say 3 times a year all males should come up to Jerusalem. So it was Israelites always in Ethiopia, been there for a long time. So my point is, when you find Hebrew, if you want to say Hebrewisms in Africa, that's because there has always been Israelite presence in a lot of places in Africa. That's my point. So my argument is not with that at all. My argument is that these same principles that's in the Bible that you know that we are following is strictly opposed to those abstract practices that I pulled out of so-called African spirituality, as he called it, which are
So had it not been for Africa, you would not even have spirituality.
uh what you mean by that? Like Nimrod, if you want to go back that far?
No, I'm
Nimrod
just
was the
talking
first
about like the fundamental aspects of your religion is rooted in Africa.
What's my religion?
I mean, your religious practices. Your Bible is rooted in Africa.
No, my Bible.
If there was no Africa, you would not even have spirituality.
That if you want to make that argument, okay. I don't see the problem with it, because the fact is, this Bible is rooted in Israel, and Israel is Northeast Africa, but Israel is totally separated from the other customs or religious spirituality that's found throughout Africa. Is that right? Like, even when you read Leviticus 19 and 20, it also said in there about the mutilation, no cuttings of the dead. That is a well-known practice with some tribes in Africa, where they actually cut their faces up for the dead. They actually brand their faces. So it still makes a distinction between the Israelite spiritual system and the other Hamitic spiritual systems, that they just happen to all be on the same continent. So that's a void argument.
All right, thanks a lot, brother. We're gonna go ahead and get to this voting. It's time to vote. Who do you vote for? Brother MikhaEL or Brother Goldmind? The number is 215-954-9091. This is the peers vote only. That's members of the debate league only. Call in now or forever hold your speech. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. Who do you vote for? Is it Brother MikhaEL or is it Brother Goldmind? Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, family?
Man, this your boy Swab Boss, man. Hey, thank you, man. I thought I was gonna have to vote against my boy, man, but you saved it in the last round. I vote for Gold, man.
All right.
All right.
Out the blue. Who you vote for?
Shalom, man. Boy, this was a good one, man. Goldmind, you my boy. I gotta go with MikhaEL on this one, man. Please don't bring back out any of that information no more. We don't need to hear no more of it.
Facts.
Shit.
All right, so one pair vote for Goldmind, the other one for MikhaEL.
You got me voting for who?
I got you voting for Brother MikhaEL.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we got one vote for Goldmind, the other vote for MikhaEL. Who do you vote for? Calling now, forever hold your speech. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. We're going to be keeping this thing rocking and rolling. Tomorrow's Friday? Yes, tomorrow is Friday. Who is debating tomorrow? Let's see who is debating tomorrow. Friday we got Brother Enyame going up against Anonymous. The Anonymous one. And later on that night, we're going to have Brother Yashar going up against King of Africa. You're going to see a lot of King of Africa in the upcoming days. See, these guys, they trying to make it be known that they are making their mark in this league. And there is nothing that you can do about it. I'm going to be the spoiler. I'm going to be the person that take your spot. I don't give a... See, I heard my curse. I don't care about what you're going to say. This is what it is. Family. So, let's take a look at the debate league standings and see how we are going to shape this thing up here on Solar Vision Debate League. Here's the standings.
Hey, so somebody just said in the chat that did we really expect Suave to vote against his own presentation?
FYI, I never been robbed in my life.
Y'all still on them alternative facts?
We got Gorilla Hebrew standing up there at 8-0. Followed by Rod Rack and Orthodox Moore. The
But
Bishop.
you did great without that connotation. You ain't gotta keep bringing it up.
The Bishop Eliyahu. We have at 5-1. And he made a very, very drastic. He moved up about 4 or 5 slots with that one win. And see, that's what it is. That's what it's about. You get the wins up, it put you up in the standings, man. And that's kind of where you want to be at this point in time. Peace, peace. Who's calling? Who's calling? Hello? That was weird. But anywho, you got a lot of 4 and 4s popping up, and a couple of 3 and 4s. It's almost damn near about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people with 3 and 4 or 4 and 4 records. So that they are jumbled down there, family. And you got to get that debate in. Outside the queue set up a debate. He has a debate with Brother Critic, so you know he could make that push, man. I'm telling you, Amayan, and claim your inheritance. You might want to make a move sometime near in the future, man. You might want to make a move soon as possible, man, because you don't want to be that odd man out. You know, you got, Weeda, he's up there with 4 and 4. If you're 3 and 4, you definitely want to put the pressure on Weeda because of, he only has 1 judge vote. You can sit there at 3 and 4 if you want and expect you're going to make the playoffs, but if these 4 and 4s pop up, you're going to be that odd man out, especially if Young Lion make that move. I'm just saying. So what we looking like? 1 pair vote apiece. That's what we working with now, family. We give it another 30 seconds. Sometimes it gets a little political here on Solar Vision Debate League. It's all good though, because we, this is why the judges reign supreme. The judges reign supreme. Y'all guys. It gets real on here. Solar Vision Debate League. Now, you already know, if it's getting crazy now, imagine the playoffs. Imagine how it's going to be in the playoffs. They could get knocked out the playoffs. They're going to be going crazy. I'm going to be laughing my black behind off. Because they're going to be so livid when they lose. Because there's going to be some losers. Definitely. When you're talking about a tournament, there's going to be some losers. There's going to be an upset or two. I'm already predicting it. There's going to be some upsets. So, looking forward to that, man. I'm looking forward to that. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, we could go to, let me see, what does it look like? Okay, we got Brandon Bay. He puts in a vote for Goldmind. Goldmind Tree Tribe. So Goldmind has 2 pair votes to 1 MikhaEL vote. We can now move forward to the people's vote. People from all across the world, man. People from all across the world. Call in now, forever hold your speech. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. Call in now, people. Where you at? Show up, people. Represent your favorite debater. Peace, peace, peace. State your name, who you vote for.
Peace, peace. Shalom, shalom. Going with MikhaEL.
MikhaEL. Yes, yes, yes. Peace, peace, peace. State your name. Who you vote for?
Royal. I vote for MikhaEL.
All right. So we got 1, 2 for MikhaEL on the people's vote. Shot Town. Peace, family. Who you vote for?
Yo, I'm voting for MikhaEL, hands down, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, brother. All right, so we got a quick 3-piece. Boom, boom, bip. Yahara bin Nazareth votes for MikhaEL. So we are tied up at 2 votes with the peers. Peace. State your name. Who you vote for?
Votes for MikhaEL. So we are tied up at 2 votes. Peers.
Who you vote for?
I vote for MikhaEL. This is Anthony Savage.
All right, thanks a lot. Peace. South Kakalaki. Who you vote for?
I vote for MikhaEL.
All right, thanks a lot. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for MikhaEL for the people's vote. And once this debate is in its conclusion, make sure you go over there to the Argument League to argue this thing out. We know y'all like to see people arguing. You know you like seeing people get caught in their BS. You know you like seeing people get embarrassed. So take your butt over there to the Argument League. They keep it funky over there. Shout out to Swab BZ.
Hello?
Peace. Who you vote for?
Shalom and peace. I'm voting for MikhaEL.
All right. Peace. Who you vote for?
Peace. My vote goes to Brother MikhaEL. Thanks.
All right. Peace. Who you vote for?
It's BJ. I'm going for Goldmind.
All right. So we got 7 votes for Brother MikhaEL, 1 for Goldmind and the people's vote. And they're all knotted up at 2 with the peers vote. So, family. This is where you want to be here on Solar Vision Debate League. Because it's about that time. I have already peace, family. Who you vote for?
Shalom. Going for a vote for MikhaEL.
All right. So he has 8 votes. Peace, family. Who you vote for?
Hey, my name is Mia. I want to vote for Goldmind.
Okay, thanks a lot. Peace. What's good, family?
What's good? It's Mike, man. Going with Goldmind.
All right. So we got 3 for Goldmind. We got 2, 4, 6, 8 for Brother MikhaEL. Peace. State your name. Who you vote for?
I like to vote for my man MikhaEL.
All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for MikhaEL. 3 for Goldmind. Peace. Who you vote for?
Yeah, shalom, Vinny D for MikhaEL.
All right. So we're done with the people's vote. Anonymous Hebrew votes for Brother MikhaEL. So we're done with the people's vote because we reached the 10 point capacity. So let's hand this thing over to my judges. Oh yeah, the judges is in the building tonight, family. Yes, sirree. So we open it up Let us know who you vote for and why.
Yo, man, this what I love this debate tonight, man. I think I want to start off by saying, African spirituality is not Hamitic spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Actually, one of my earliest Hebrew teachers was a Nigerian. He didn't deal with the Bible at all. But tonight, I think I give it to I gotta give it to MikhaEL. I like what he had to say tonight. He seemed his argument was more seemed like I could relate to more than with the African spirituality. Something I could teach my kids and my family, my grandmother and stuff. So I think MikhaEL did it tonight.
All right, thanks a lot, brother. Do the knowledge.
Shuck, if you bored. Shuck, if you bored. Oh, my bad. Hey, peace, Ola. Peace to these two debaters here tonight. This one was kind of tough. I was looking for some examples in history of the benefits for either side, and I really didn't see or hear demonstrated, by either party, that department. When we start talking about better for our society as a people, I was looking for some examples of these things already happening or have happened over a period of time. So just based off of that, the arguments were, pretty good on both sides for the most part. But that shuck if you buck around was a little crazy. So I'm gonna have to cast my vote for MikhaEL on this one.
All right. MikhaEL gets the vote from brother. Do the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So also DJ Black Charmed, he voted for brother MikhaEL. He said he had to leave, so he sent me a text saying that he voted for brother MikhaEL. So that means brother MikhaEL gets the win. Shout out to the family. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. If you haven't done so, subscribe to this page, man. Because it's about to go down. This is the final week, man. This is the final week of Solar Vision Debate League. And it's about to get into playoff mode here on Solar Vision Debate League, man. So, with that being said, family, we're going to get up out of here. This is the Solar Vision Debate League. See you guys over there on the Argument League.